What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here to continue our discussion on Select. Yesterday, we talked about basketball. Today, we are going to talk about what I think is a major buying opportunity in football. So, before we dive in, YouTube stuff down below, like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. Links to market movers are down there. And once again, this is going to be a very good example of why that I feel these pricing tools are important, because they allow you to see these trends much simpler than just using 130 points or your own homemade spreadsheet or whatever. So if you're taking this seriously, once again, I highly recommend you guys use something. One quick channel update, and then we will get into this. I mentioned this on the Sunday morning video. I have turned channel memberships on. A few people have reached out about additional ways to support the channel and the content that I make. So I have turned channel memberships on, and I am treating it like a tip jar, for lack of a better term. There will not be content gated behind the channel memberships. I know a lot of channels do that, where they put, get the video 3 hours early or whatever, or the night before, or special videos, or your hot picks, or whatever. I will not be doing that. You will not get anything special other than I turned on some fun. I only have 2 so far, but I have slots for 2 more chat emojis for live streams. One is the Eye of Sauron, which is a common phrase around here, and another one is the Don Russ rated rookie thing. So if you would like to support me beyond just, clicking like buttons or the Amazon affiliate link or whatever, feel free to take advantage of the channel memberships. If you don't want to, I completely get it. You're not going to miss out on anything crazy, but it's turned on. Use it. I will mention it on occasion. I am not going to sit here and ram it down your guys' throats and girls. So with all that being said, let's get into today's topic du jour. So yesterday, we talked about Select and how Concourse and Premier have split away from Optic and begun closing the gap in Prism, and in some cases passing it up, specifically with Premier. But the major thing that we're seeing is Optic is now the third in the order between the sets, and really fourth if you're breaking it down between the 2 different base cards. Obviously, in football's case, field level is still number 1, but we're not, for the purposes of this, we're not discussing that because that's super short print and field level has always been well respected. However, we have Prism at the top, Select Premier, Select Concourse, and Optic typically. In the past, those latter 3 were always very closely grouped together with not much separation, which never made a lot of sense given the population counts between Premier and Concourse. Over the last 3 months in the basketball market, we have seen that shift. I have Luca's chart up here to give you an example of this, where you could see, and once again, if you saw the video yesterday, this was covered in detail there, but I'm going to briefly touch on it here just in case you missed it, or I would strongly recommend you go watch that video and then come back and watch this one. But the gist is, Select has gained a lot of popularity since the start of the season, or since the start of the year, rather. Concourse, in some cases, Premier has closed the gap or passed Prism. Concourse has pulled away from Optic. What you see here is fairly indicative. In most cases, though, other than Luca, this orange line would be right at Prism. So if we hop over here and look at Zion, you could see Prism still in the lead, but Premier's closing the gap. Concourse has split away from Optic, though not by much, and then Optic is clearly 4th in the pecking order, which is fine. So we ran through multiple years, multiple players, and this trend is across the board of all those players. We looked at Zion, we looked at Ja, we looked at Luca, we looked at Trey, we looked at Tatum. The pattern is identical across I shouldn't say everybody, but across some of the main players that drive the basketball market. The basketball market typically leads the way. It dictates what a lot of other sports do. Because of the basketball market, it shifted a lot of the action from baseball paper to baseball chrome because of the popularity of chrome cards. What I was curious about is how select football is being respected in the market compared to Prism. And because this is a more recent trend in basketball and we haven't had a football season yet, do these same things carry over, or is there a buying opportunity? And what I have found is if you believe in the select trend and the select brand, if you will, and one of the other things it has going for it is we are about 95% sure select is coming to retail this year, which it has never done before. Now, that's going to have an effect on select population counts on cards going forward for the 21 or the 21 set with Herbert and stuff in it, that set, and then obviously going forward. So 20 this year and 21 next year. But it's not going to change the population counts on the older stuff. And in my opinion, it going retail could boost the popularity of select as a whole, which in turn could increase demand for the older stuff. Regardless of any of that happens, if you just look at the population counts, select is a much, much more appealing play. So let's dig into some football data. And I pulled 4 of, if you want to call it ultra modern football, but from the last couple of years, I could not use Herbert or Burrow because select's not out yet. But let's we'll start with my boy Baker, who I think just in general is way too cheap right now in the market. No bias here. But as we can see, these charts look very similar to the basketball charts. Once again, look at Zion. The blue line, the green line, and the orange line are all clumped together, pretty far apart from Prism. But as we see, as we move later in the year, they begin to split apart. What we notice here with Baker, they do not split apart. There is the gap. Prism's the clear leader, but select, both versions, and optic are basically all the same card for pricing purposes. If we scroll down here and look, we see Baker's Prism's going for $350. Okay, makes sense. Prism's still the leader in the clubhouse. Optic, $235. Select, Concourse, $240. Select Premier, $240. All basically the same price. Now, Prism pop counts in football are much lower. We can see Baker's PSA 10 is only at $850, not a ton. Optic at $635, also not a ton. Concourse $350, Premier only 200 of them, $199. Once again, this is something people bang their head against in the basketball world forever, saying, guys, what are you doing? At minimum, this card should sell for more than this card, just based off rarity. So immediately to me, that's a buying opportunity. On top of that, what we've seen in basketball is this card has begun to close the gap with this card pricing wise across the board. That has not happened yet in the football market. So the theory here is, one, immediately just the population counts alone, football Premier is not getting, select Premier is not getting the love that it should. And two, if the trends from the basketball market transfer over to the football market, and the football market has been heating up lately, but it's not on fire yet. We're not at that late or midsummer where football really takes off around the 4th of July, heading into August, and then peaking in the middle of August before the season starts. We're not there yet. My theory is that when that actually does happen, then we're going to see that split because the money's going to be coming from basketball, going into football, and they're going to be going, well, I was buying select premieres over here because that's the card you want now. And then they're going to come over to football and target that one. So let's look at some more and see if the trend continues. Here's Lamar. Once again, these three are all grouped together. Optic the blue, Concourse the green, select the orange, and you could see how close these are all in one big clump with Prism way out ahead. Boy, oh boy, remember when this Prism was $4,000 on Lamar? Holy smokes. Let's come down here. What do we see? $340 for the Optic, $850 for the Prism, $280 for the Concourse, and $365 for the Premier. So in this case, the Premier is getting some proper respect. It is going for more than the Concourse. It's not necessarily closing the gap on the Prism, but his Prism pop count is low. So maybe this is a little bit of an outlier, but this does go back to show me that this is too cheap on Baker stuff for this 240 price or anything around really $300 or less. And this, I think, still has some room to potentially catch up to his Prism. So the Lamar prices might be relatively okay. I don't think Baker's are, but I still think the Select Premier is undervalued there. Let's look at Josh Allen. Extremely popular, extremely trendy, Mr. Josh Allen. Once again, we see the exact same trends. Optic, Select, and Select all grouped together with Prism a little bit out ahead. Come down here, look at the prices and the pop counts. Optic going for $550 with a $460 pop count. Prism going for around $1,000. There's about 860 of them. Select Concourse going for $445 and Premier going for $500. Both have similar population counts. I have a feeling this will flush itself out a little bit and Concourse will catch up. Josh Allen didn't get extremely hot till in the middle to late of last season. So I have a feeling this will increase as the PSA backlog works itself out. But the fact that these are only $50 apart or around $50 apart tells me that this one has a lot of room in it. And once again, as we saw in the basketball charts, Select Premier was working its way and spreading apart from the other two, Select Concourse and Optic. We are not seeing that case now in 3 straight players that we've looked at for football. Let's go a little bit more modern and go to Kyler Murray. Once again, we see the exact same pattern. In this case, Optic's actually leading the charge, and both Select sets seem undervalued. Once again, there's the Prism up there in the purple line. When we come down here and look at these, look at the numbers, his Prism's going for $514. His Optic is going for $400. His Concourse is going for $268, and the Premier's going for $300. In my opinion, the Optic actually looks like it's overvalued, or if that's the true price, then the Prism's actually too cheap, along with the Premier. This Premier should be a lot more. Look at the population counts on this one, because now we're in the 2019, not 2018. Optic is 138. That's really low. Prism is almost 2,000. Concourse is 750, not terrible, but Premier is 103. That is not a lot. That is not a lot at all. And it's only going for $40 more than the Concourse. This should be going for way more than $300, in my opinion. It should probably at least be $400 where this Optic Kyler is going for. So 2018 Premier's getting slightly disrespected, but I think 2019 it's really getting disrespected. Now the hot name from that class is Kyler, maybe Daniel Jones, and then maybe some of the position players. There's not as much stuff to look at quarterback wise compared to the 2018 class. But I think it's something to keep in the back of your mind that if you're chasing football stuff, maybe take a pop or a peek at the Select Premier in PSA 10 or Raw or whatever and see if maybe it looks a little undervalued compared to the other ones. So you can look at any player that you want. Once again, these aren't necessarily calling out these specific players and cards are buys, but compare these 4 together, see where they price out, look at the population counts, and then you can make a call on a player that we did not talk about today. Though to me, the Kyler Premier does look quite a bit too cheap at around $300. I know one just sold at auction on Saturday for $300 because I had my eyes on it, but it was a 0 feedback seller. And it went for like $289. It was a great price, but I just didn't want to take the chance on a 0 feedback seller. So I let it pass, and I may regret that one. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So once again, Select Premier is really taking off in basketball, and it doesn't look like it has in football yet. So might be something to do your time or put some time into. Once again, as we always encourage around here, do your homework, do your own research, see if it backs up what I'm seeing, and then maybe make a play. So, like, comment, sub. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.